Hello and welcome to a brand new series of Study Abroad Insights series for New Zealand. I am your host Amit Chaturvedi from IDP Education. As you know, IDP are the world leaders in international education and the proud co-owner of IELTS. Today we have invited some experts from New Zealand Education who will talk at length about education and other opportunities in New Zealand. Keep looking for this space for more information. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the Study Abroad Insights series for New Zealand Part 2. I am your host Amit Chaturvedi, and today we have with us Linda, who is from University of Massey. Thank you very much, Linda, for coming to us. Just to introduce Linda, Linda is the representative from University of Massey, and Massey is one of the ranked institutions in New Zealand. It lists in the top 300 in the world, and they have campuses in Auckland, Palmerston North in New Zealand, and in Wellington. So thank you very much, Linda, again for coming into our studio today, and I am very hopeful that this discussion will be very useful for our students, our audiences, and of course they'll get to hear a lot of interesting stuff from you which they can use in their decision making process.
Sure.
So,
thank you.
Of course we can start with a few questions which we have from students, and of course some of our questions which will be informative for the audiences. So my first question is, Linda, why Indian students choose to study abroad?
Indian students love to go overseas to study, and particularly love to come to New Zealand because they can benefit from our high quality education system. They also love to experience a different country, a different culture, to meet new friends, make good connections for their future work.
And why New Zealand?
Well, New Zealand has so much to offer. New Zealand has a very high education quality. It is both, our teaching in New Zealand is both applied, practical in nature, but also academic. So students have the benefit of, when they're in the classroom, they're able to interact well with lecturers and ask questions. We encourage critical thinking in our students. And also a very popular thing for Indian students coming to New Zealand is the fact that if they're studying a bachelor degree or a postgraduate diploma or a master's degree, they can stay back for 3 years. And graduate diploma students who are studying in Auckland can stay back for 1 year. Or if they're studying outside Auckland, they can stay back for 2 years on a post-study work visa, and that's very attractive.
So comparing to the destinations like, especially the ones who we consider as English-speaking countries, US, UK, Canada, Australia, do you think New Zealand is more cost-effective, or any other reason you want to elaborate for our students?
Our fees generally in New Zealand are very competitively priced. Also, the total living costs, this includes accommodation, it includes food, for a year would only amount to about 15,000 New Zealand dollars, and that's about 7 lakhs. So actually New Zealand is quite affordable.
And would you also throw some light in terms of the local transport aspect and the variety of accommodations which a student can look at?
Students tend to travel around using the bus services in New Zealand. All our cities have buses. They are very good and a cheaper way of getting around. There are also some trains in New Zealand, and some students like to buy a second-hand car and use that to not only travel to the campuses but also travel around New Zealand. The buses in the city where I normally live, in Palmerston North, are actually free for students to use in the city centre. It is the only city in New Zealand where buses are free for students.
So is it because there are less number of people, or there are more buses?
We have a great initiative in Palmerston North. The City Council and Massey University and a number of other education providers have combined to enable this free bus service. It's a fabulous initiative. Palmerston North is also a very flat city, so students can bike around the city, bike to the campus.
As you mentioned Palmerston North, you have two more campuses. So if you can just talk a little more about the other two campuses as well.
Yeah, we have, in addition to Palmerston North, we have a campus in Auckland and one in Wellington as well. Now, students do sometimes and often have a choice of whether they want to study in Auckland or Palmerston North, for example, on a business program or science-related program. If students study in Wellington, they're usually studying communication, or they're studying at our fantastic College of Creative Arts and doing design or fashion design or creative arts type programs.
You have been coming to India very often, and you have been going around, I think, 20 or more cities whenever you are in India. What's your understanding? What are the key questions asked by Indian students and parents? So what are the key concerns? What is that they want to seek in terms of more and more information from you?
Students do need to know exactly how much they will be paying for their tuition fees. They also need to know how much the accommodation total cost for living is going to be. And parents often ask about the safety. Now, New Zealand is a really safe country. Our students are comfortable and happy and safe in New Zealand. And that's obviously an understandable question that parents will have, because they want to be sure that their children are going to be happy, comfortable, safe. At our campuses, on each of our campuses, we have great support systems for students. We have an international support office, and that helps students settle in. So I don't think students need worry, and parents need not worry either. They'll be happy at Massey, they'll be very well looked after, and they'll have an excellent education as well.
I think you're right, because New Zealand is ranked as the second best country in the world, as the safest destination to be in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great. Let me ask you, for a student who is interested to enroll for a program in a university in New Zealand, do they need to take any admission tests before?
Students need to meet the academic entry requirements as well as the English language requirements. Now, at Massey, for undergraduate students, we're happy with the English that they take in their CBSE or state board exams. So usually, unless it's a specific program where we do need IELTS or TOEFL, in those cases would not be necessary. But for postgraduates, it's always essential to take an IELTS or a TOEFL or a PTE exam.
So what's the minimum score you need on IELTS?
It would be, for postgraduate entry, it's 6.5 overall and each band 6. And if a student is taking PTE, which they often do here in India, they would need 58 overall and 50 for the communicative skills.
And for the TOEFL?
For the TOEFL, it would be 90, IBT TOEFL.
How would you differentiate Massey to some other universities in New Zealand?
Well, Massey has the benefit of the 3 campuses, to emphasize that point first of all. It's also in the top 300 universities in the world, so it has a very good reputation internationally. Our degrees are portable. They are internationally recognized throughout the world. We also have a great reputation at our business school. For example, we have AACSB accreditation, and for our MBA, we have AMBA accreditation. Also, we've had a long history of teaching science-related programs, so students can benefit from that knowledge and the expertise that our lecturers have. Additionally, I mentioned already our College of Creative Arts. That is number 2 for its design teaching in the whole of Asia Pacific. And our humanities programs, such as Master of Education, is top 150 in the world according to the QS rankings. So we have such a wide variety of highly ranked programs at Massey from which students can benefit.
I've heard the supply chain management is equally popular at your university, and you have a good demand from India. So would you like to talk a little more about that?
Yes, it certainly is very popular. When I travel around India and meet students, I get lots of questions about that. We have a graduate diploma in logistics and supply chain management. It is only 1 year of study. For that, we don't need an undergraduate degree that relates to logistics. It can be any degree. We do, of course, need the IELTS 6 in this case and 5.5 for each band, or TOEFL or PTE. We do also have a 1 year postgraduate diploma in logistics and supply chain management. If the student doesn't have a relevant undergraduate degree, they can come provided they have 2 years of relevant work experience and ideally in a leadership role. And then we also have a 1.5 year, 180 credit Master of Supply Chain Management. Now students can come to that if they have a relevant undergraduate degree, or they can come if they have 5 years of relevant work experience. Again, the work experience ideally needs to be in a leadership role.
Great. We'll talk about the job prospects as we progress, but before that I think it's important for us to understand what are the documents required when a student has to make an application to a university or an institution in New Zealand.
Yeah. When students are applying for undergraduate degree entry, we need to see their Year 12 results, whether it's from CBSE or State Board exam. And we're looking for 75% from CBSE, with 60% in English, and then in most cases the IELTS is not necessary. When students come for postgraduate study, we're looking for an undergraduate degree, and we are looking mostly at the last year of a student's marks, because we understand that students may struggle possibly in their first year or their second year of study. They may have some backlogs. Now that is okay, provided they clear these backlogs and don't have too many. And then we're looking at the mark sheets, the individualized, semesterized mark sheet, particularly at the last year of study. We do adopt a tier system. So for students who've studied at an institution with a pass mark of 40%, if it's a tier 1 institution, we're looking at a mark of 50%, mostly in their last year of study. And if it's a tier 2, it would be 55%. If it's tier 3, it would be 65%. And of course I mentioned that IELTS is necessary, or TOEFL or PTE, for entry to our postgraduate degrees. On some occasions the degree does need to be relevant. On other occasions we accept any undergraduate degree. For example, our MBA or our Master of Management. It doesn't have to be a business related undergraduate degree.
Okay, so let me understand from you, which are the primary intakes you have for the university, and what is the ideal time for students to make an application to your institution?
We have intakes in February and July each year, but we also have some additional intakes for some of our programs. For example, Master of Design has a September intake, and the MBA has an October intake as well. If a student wants to come in February, they should apply at the very latest by November. That gives them time to apply for the visa as well. And if they want to come in July, then they need to apply by May at the very latest.
And a typical duration of a master's program at the university?
Our master's programs are either 1 year in duration. For example, the MBA is 1 year, 180 credits, or they're 1.5 year, 180 credits. And some programs like our Master of Professional Accountancy and Finance is a 2-year degree.
And traditionally the undergraduate programs are for 3 years or 4 years?
Traditionally 3 years. However, we do have a Bachelor of Honours degree in food technology and engineering and design. And because they are 4 years honours, the duration is 4 years of study.
I think engineering is very popular with your institution, so if you can talk a little more about the engineering programs.
Yes, engineering is indeed very popular. Mostly students from India like to come and study at postgraduate level, and we have a 1 year, 120 credit Master of Engineering Studies. So it's only 1 year of study. We have majors in electronics and computer engineering, in packaging technology, in renewable energy systems, and mechatronics. So this program is both applied, practical in nature, but also has a high academic quality. Students love to do this degree because of the post-study work options that are there, and they can work in our dairy or agricultural industry, or for example in automation or automated plant technology type companies as well.
Great. That's about the programs, but for a student to take a decision to study abroad, there are a lot of other factors, and they look at what additional support a university can offer to them, be it in terms of living or extracurricular, program related research areas. So if you can talk a little more about these things which are apart from the curricula, what supports a student can expect when they land into a university in New Zealand.
Yeah. We provide orientation. That's perfect support. That's a week of orientation before students arrive to start their degrees. That helps them settle in, and we have that orientation week on each of our campus. It is organised by our International Student Support Office. So that office also provides students with a lot of support should the student feel a bit homesick maybe. We also have careers counsellors and other counsellors who can help students, so with their career outcomes, and counselling services and health services and religious services, and lots of clubs and societies on each of our campuses.
We spoke about some of the programs. You spoke about the engineering and management and other subjects. Do you also have programs which have internships inbuilt in the program?
Yes, we do. We have a Bachelor of Retail and Business Management, and that has quite extensive internships spread over the duration of the program. Our MBA also includes exposure to businesses for 6 weeks of the program. And our Master of Analytics has a 3-month internship at the end of the 180 degree. So students doing Master of Analytics can be placed in great companies in New Zealand. The internships at Massey are not paid because for internships students do get credits towards their programs. So although they're not paid, it can lead to an excellent career outcome for students because it's often a way into the job market, and the employers love our students. They may, and often do, employ them after they've finished their program.
So these internships are facilitated by the institution, or students have to look for themselves? How does it work?
We find the internship for the student. Yeah. We have great connections with companies. So.
That's great. I think that's what a student would like to understand more, if you have such provisions to offer scholarships or internships.
Yes.
So I'll come to the other side, which is very important, as scholarships. So students in India, of course, are very keen to know what are the kind of scholarships they can expect when they come into a New Zealand institution.
Yes. We have scholarships for students who come to study our creative arts undergraduate degree. The scholarship value per year is 5,000 New Zealand dollars. That's about 2 lakhs. That's a good amount. And if you imagine that a student does a Bachelor of Design for 4 years, over the duration of those 4 years, the amount would be 20,000 New Zealand dollars. And that's about 10 lakhs. We also have scholarships in our College of Humanities and Social Sciences. They are for undergraduate degree students or graduate diploma or postgraduate diploma or master's students. And the value is $5,000, the same, 2 lakhs approximately, for 120 credits. We also, for our Bachelor of Engineering and Technology and Human Sciences, have an undergraduate award, and that value is $3,000. That's about 1.5 lakhs, and that's given to about 10 students each year. Additionally, we have the NZEA scholarships, which Massey is doing jointly with Education New Zealand. The value of those is $5,000. That's approximately 2 lakhs, and it is for master's students starting in February on a business or humanities or creative arts or science master's degree. And of course, not to forget our MBA, which has inbuilt bursaries. The value of those is $2,000 for a student who has 5 or more years work experience. Then there is another $2,000 for a student who has a very good GPA from their undergraduate degree. And there is another $2,000 for a student who has an undergraduate degree and a master's. Now for the MBA bursaries, there is no additional application form to fill in. It is automatically awarded to those students who are eligible. Whereas the other scholarships, a student would need to apply either to us directly for our creative arts and humanities scholarships. There's a very short application form on the website, or for the NZEA scholarships, students need to apply to ENZ. And students would ideally always need an offer of place, an unconditional offer, before they go ahead and apply for the scholarships.
So for the benefit of our audiences, if you can also talk about an average tuition fee for an undergraduate or a postgraduate program at a typical New Zealand university.
An undergraduate degree fee, average fee, would be about 30,000 New Zealand dollars a year. That's about 15 lakhs. For a postgraduate diploma, it would also be about that much. That's for a 1-year study. For a master's, that's 180 credits. The cost is usually about 46,000 New Zealand dollars, about 22 lakhs for the duration for the 180 credits. Our MBA is $48,920 for students starting next year. If a student wants to come this year, there is still time, because the visa can, in those instances, be fast-tracked and processed quickly. The cost would be $47,500. So very competitively priced.
Great. I think one key element for all students and their parents, they need to understand about the possible job prospects in a destination where they are sending their kids to. In New Zealand, for a student, do they have an opportunity to work part-time as they pursue programs, and what kind of jobs they can look at? Similarly, if you can also tell us more about, do they have an opportunity to work full-time once they complete the program? Of course, you spoke about the post-study work, but what kind of jobs and what kind of money they can look forward to?
Yes, students are allowed to work during their studies for 20 hours per week during term time. In vacation time, they can work unlimited hours. The minimum salary per hour in New Zealand is $17.70. On each of our campuses, we have great careers office who can help and guide and support students in when it comes time to look for either part-time jobs or full-time jobs after completing their studies. They show students how to get their CV ready, which job search websites to look at. All of this is very helpful for students, and we do support them quite strongly in that way.
Do you also have employers come into the campus and interact with students, and they hire from the campus?
Yes, we do. So we do have careers fairs on our campuses. That is another way where students can look for employment. The employers come and they're looking for good graduates, of course. Also, because the nature of our teaching in New Zealand and Massey is quite applied and practical, there is a lot of exposure quite often to experts from various industries during a student's study.
Let's talk about, for a student who is coming into New Zealand at your campus, a first-time traveler, do you also have things for them where they can kind of get culturally engaged, or they have occasions where they can possibly feel at home? especially for Indian students?
Yes, we have great clubs and societies on each of our campus. In Palmerston North, where I normally live, recently our Indian students there, who are a great bunch of students, they've created and established a new club. It's called Namaste Club. So students can benefit from this type of activity as well as their academic study. And that's often a brilliant way to not only meet other international students and Kiwi students, but also in these clubs, students can travel around our country, go away for weekends, and that is a fantastic thing to do if they can.
Anything which is for a student who is looking at coming into New Zealand, any skill or any kind of additional qualification you think is required for them to be better prepared to come into a New Zealand institution and succeed?
It does help if students have had some work experience here in India, because that work experience is valued in New Zealand and can help them when they're looking for part-time work or staying on and taking advantage of the post-study work rights. Additionally, at Massey, we are very good at distance education, so prior to students coming and studying at our university, they can actually take some courses, and that will help them prepare themselves. They can do those courses here in India before they arrive. It's a great extra preparation for students, and that's a benefit of Massey, because we're very good at providing these online programs and have a history of distance education as well.
Another thing which I know a lot of students and parents would be interested to know is, for first-time travelers as young students, they may feel homesick, they may feel alone. Do you have any kind of a support system in place where these students can be taken care initially?
Yes, we have counselling services on each of our campuses. We have our international student support services on each campus, and that is why it's very helpful if students can come during orientation a week before the program actually starts, and during that time they'll be helped to settle in. They'll overcome any homesickness that they may have, because we have such great support services, and we introduce students, make sure they not only know about the university but that they feel comfortable and happy, and they're meeting other students who are in the same boat as them, whether it's our domestic students or other international students. And making friends, meeting other people is really helpful to make sure they feel at home and are not homesick.
You said you are based in Palmerston North and you frequent Auckland. For a student who is coming from India, what is that they can do best in their free time, especially if they are at your campus or in a city in New Zealand?
Yeah. To come to another country like New Zealand and study there, it's a brilliant opportunity to immerse yourself in the way of life there, to learn about our culture. We are very international in our outlook. So I would recommend students that they join clubs and societies in their free time, that they approach our careers office if they're hoping to find some part-time work, because that will help them as well. They just need and want to make the most of their time in New Zealand. And it is a fantastic experience, so come with an open mind, immerse yourself into our way of life, get the benefit from our excellent clubs and societies. Recreational sports are popular. I know that students here in India often love cricket. I love cricket too. And there are many clubs like that they can join and still indulge in their favourite activities in that way.
And would you also advise them to kind of go around and explore the country, and where you think they can possibly look at those options if they are based in Auckland?
Sure. Well, Auckland is an incredible location. Our campus is in a great affluent part of Auckland on the North Shore. There are many beautiful beaches, great scenery. Travelling around by bus is quite affordable. There are intercity buses, or if a student is part of one of our clubs, then they can get together as a group and go and have a look at different parts of our country. All our campuses are on the North Island, But even if a student wanted to go to the South Island and explore the huge mountains, go walking, have a look there, I would recommend that they do that too. And if a student is with us during the summertime, which is holiday time, and if they're not fully occupied with work, then yes, I would say get involved, go and explore, because that's what I love to do when I come to India, for example, a new country for me. If I have an opportunity, I love to have a look and see what it's like here and travel around. And I do that for my work. Now, I would recommend students do that whilst they're studying in New Zealand. It would be such a shame if they didn't get to see some of our country.
I think that's a valuable advice, to make it this journey as a holistic experience, to explore the country, to understand a new system of education, be exposed to the international learning culture. Just to understand from you and for the benefit of our student, some of the key 2 or 3 tips for our students as an expert who is offering counseling to international students around the world. What is that you suggest?
Come with an open mind. New Zealand is different to India. Every country in the world is different. We have so much to offer in New Zealand. Make the most of your study and your time in New Zealand. Benefit from our welcoming attitude towards all nationalities. Immerse yourself in the way of life. We really would welcome students to come to New Zealand, and of course to our university. We just would love to see Indian students studying with us.
Thank you, Linda, for this discussion. I'm sure our audiences will find it very useful. Thank you very much for coming again.
Thank you, Amit. It's been a great opportunity for me to talk to you and via you to the students. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you found this discussion useful. In case you need more information, I invite you to come into our nearest office or log into our website www.idp.com. I also invite you to join our social media handles. Thank you very much again. Thank you.